Welcome to Concepts College of Sciences. Assalamu alaikum. I am Nadeem Ashraf Awan. This is the second part of our figures of speech. In the first part, we discussed simile, metaphor, personification, and apostrophe. In this particular episode, we are going to discuss four more figures of speech. Number one is going to be hyperbole. Number two is euphemism. Number three is antithesis, and four is oxymoron. Now let's move on to the first one of these, that is the hyperbole. A hyperbole is an exaggeration of ideas for the sake of emphasis or producing the desired effect. Examples of these, for example, are your suitcase weighs a ton. So when we are saying it weighs a ton is a lot of weight, definitely. We are exaggerating. Actually, we want to say your suitcase is very heavy, but instead of saying that very heavy, we are using the term a ton. That must have cost a treasure. Again, what we actually want to say is that that must have cost a lot, but instead of that, we are saying a treasure for a heightened effect. Third example, I could do this forever. Nothing could be done forever, for example. But then again, when you really like to do something, you want to express it in this particular way by exaggerating it for the sake of emphasis. He saw his friend after ages. From the sentence, it means, it seems that he saw his friend after maybe many centuries, but that is not the case, definitely. It means simply that he saw his friend after a lot of time. So exaggeration is used in all of these sentences to produce the desired effect. The next part of speech is euphemism. It is the description of a disagreeable thing by an agreeable name. Or, in other words, we can say, it's a mild or indirect or vague term that often substitutes a harsh, blunt, or offensive term. For example, a very easy example in our own language, Urdu language, that is, for example, when somebody dies, we don't say कि वो मर गया है या फौत हो गया है. We, for example, say उनका इंतकाल हो गया है. Intikal means basically he moved from one place to the other. Similarly, we use the term विसाल हो गया है. वो जहाँ बहक हो गए हैं. So these, all of these terms are used instead of the harsher term or the term that we don't like to express, maut, that is, or death, that is. Let's have a few examples of euphemism. When, for example, somebody dies and we say he's fallen asleep. So you see that instead of saying that somebody is dead, we use a euphemism like that to express it. Now, can you guess that? You're telling me a fairy tale. Do you believe in fairy tales? So definitely it is not something true. So instead of saying you are lying, you're telling me a lie, you say you're telling me a fairy tale. That this is euphemism. He is economical with the truth. Now, what could that mean? Again, you want to say that a person is a liar, so that instead of directly calling him a liar, you say he's economical with the truth. It means he hardly ever uses truth. I'm going a little thin on top. That is true for me now as well. Going a little thin on top means I'm going bald. The hair on my chin have gone with the wind. Next is antithesis. An antithesis is a contrast or a direct opposite of something. That is the literal meaning of that also. Now, when we put together two opposite ideas in a sentence to achieve a contrasting effect, we are using antithesis. Let's have a few examples. Man proposes, God disposes. Two contrasting ideas. Man proposes in the first clause, God disposes in the second clause. It means man only suggests or thinks, and actually the culmination or the completion of the task is done by Allah the Almighty or God Almighty. Now look at this. Give every man thy ear, but few thy voice. This is from Shakespeare. In the first one, give every man thy ear, every man, and in the second one, but few. So every man, everyone, and few, they are contrasting ideas over here. Now the sentence means that you should listen to everyone, but you should not give your opinion to everybody. Speech is silver, but silence is gold. So speech and silence are contrasted over here. To err is human, to forgive divine. Err is a verb from error. To err means to make an error. So it is human nature to make an error, and it is divine nature, godly quality, attribute to forgive. Not that I loved Caesar less, but that I loved Rome more. So loving somebody less and loving somebody more or something more, that is the contrast presented in this sentence. So this is antithesis. The next is oxymoron. An oxymoron is also a kind of an antithesis. It's a special form of that. Now it is basically the joining of two or opposite or contradictory ideas to create an effect. And the usual form that it takes, remember it's a usual form, it's not always this way, but it's generally this way. So it takes the form of an adjective plus a noun with contrasting meanings. Examples: cruel kindness, for example. How can kindness be cruel, for example? And then living death. So they are also contrasting ideas. So this kind of a contrast or contrasting ideas put together to create an effect, that is oxymoron. Let's have some more examples of this figure of speech. The professor gave a lecture on virtual reality. Now all of you in the modern times know what does virtual reality refer to. Virtual refers to something that is not real, and then reality is something real, definitely. So they are seemingly contradictory terms. Paid volunteers are working for the company. Volunteers are always the people who volunteer for something. They don't want any reward or remuneration. They don't want to be paid. They're not supposed to be paid, but paid volunteers becomes an oxymoron. Doctors are absolutely unsure of the nature of this illness. While you can be absolutely sure of something, but absolutely and unsure, they are contradictory ideas. We must all agree to disagree. So we agree on one thing, and that is to disagree. So this is again seemingly contrasting or contradictory ideas presented over here. This student is regularly irregular. Well, you can recall somebody in your class who is not very regular to the college, and he only visits college sometimes. So that kind of a student is regularly irregular. So after having gone through these four figures of speech, let's revise them, and we are now doing the exercises given in your textbook. Look at the first sentence. Fools who come to scoff remain to pray. Fools who came to scoff, sorry, remain to pray. So what do you think is this? Coming somewhere and then staying somewhere, scoffing and praying, coming to scoff, that is to ridicule, and then remaining to pray, contradiction. So that is why it is antithesis. Hasten slowly. Hasten means to make haste, to be quick. How can you be quick, or how can you make haste slowly? This is an oxymoron. 1,000 years are as yesterday when it is past. So a period of 1,000 years looks like just yesterday. So this is a hyperbole, exaggeration, that is. Look at the next sentence. He followed the letter but not the spirit of the law. So letter and spirit, he followed the letter but not the spirit. So this is a contradiction, and this is therefore an antithesis. They were swifter than eagles, they were stronger than lions. So how can somebody be swifter than eagles, and how can somebody be stronger than lions? So this is an exaggeration. Yes, right, it is hyperbole. Next sentence. So spake the seraph Abdiel faithful found, among the faithless, faithful only he. Spake is an old form of spoke, actually. Seraph is a kind of an angel, is a type of an angel. Abdiel is a name, definitely. So the faithless and faithful, these are contrasting ideas. He was the only faithful one amongst other faithless personalities. So this is an antithesis. Number 7, youth is full of pleasure, age is full of care. This is again a case of antithesis. Youth and age are presented as contrasts over here. Golden lads and girls all must, as chimney sweepers come to dust. So look at that, golden lads and girls, and then they are coming to dust. They were golden in the beginning and then they're becoming dust in the end. This is again a contradiction. This is again antithesis. Next one is, I thought 10,000 swords must have leapt from their scabbards to avenge a look that threatened her with insult. So somebody, a lady, insulted with just a look, and 10,000 swords coming out of their sheaths to defend her or to avenge her, that is an exaggeration. So it is a hyperbole. His honor rooted in dishonor stood, and faith unfaithful kept him falsely true. Now look at this. Honor rooted in dishonor, and then faith which is unfaithful and falsely true. All these are examples of oxymoron. Next one, they speak like saints and act like devils. Speaking like saints, acting like devils. Contradiction. So this is antithesis. So these were a few of the sentences taken from your exercise, and would you please revise them once again so that you understand them better, and just wait for the next episode so that we can discuss some more of these figures of speech. Till then, it's Allah Hafiz. Thank you very much.